Hello, hello, and hello, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here I am. It is Tarot Tuesday, Tarot Reviews Day, and I have the most glamorous deck to share with you from my enormous collection. She may not look glamorous on the front, but this is the Botticelli deck. You can see she is very well loved and much used. So this is another deck that is produced by that Italian brand Lo Scarabeo, and this was designed by Atanas Asanov, who is a designer, basically. So these aren't done digitally. These are apparently like done through him looking at different Botticelli paintings, and what I read was like it was like a cut and paste kind of a thing. It seems so seamless though. I'm not sure, like I feel like this had to have been done digitally, but apparently this was done through some sort of like cut and paste method. But it's very seamless. It's very, very beautiful. As you can see, these cards are absolutely stunning. You have languages. So like I said, Lo Scarabeo, it's an international brand. So I think this is the one that I brought to Italian school with me, because you're not supposed to be using things in English. And so this was a way that I got to learn Italian, how to say the tarot in Italian, like wands or bastone, right? But yeah, absolutely beautiful. Like this, I question if some of these things are actually from Botticelli paintings, or if the designer just took some things from Botticelli paintings, designed some things based off of Botticelli paintings, and just like used that aesthetic to make a seamless group of arcana. But I don't know. I don't know all of Botticelli paintings, even though I am a Renaissance scholar. I don't specialize in Botticelli, so I don't know. I think it's actually, though, really, really, really hilarious that there is a deck based off of the works of Botticelli, because he was very much kind of taken over by Savonarola and his message. So there was this like dude, Savonarola, who came in and was like, you guys, France is gonna kill us all if you guys don't listen to me, and we're not doing things the way that God wants us to do them. And so I'm gonna wipe off my screen here. I'm not seeing so well. And so we need you to destroy all of your vanity objects. And Botticelli was really, really highly influenced by this guy. And we lost a lot of his stuff because he burnt a lot of his stuff in that bonfire of the vanities. Of course, like a year later on the same spot, they burned Savonarola because like he went a little bit too hard. But Botticelli really, really, really became very like austere in his paintings. Like he did a few paintings after that before he died, but they were very, very religious. They were very plain. Like he really, really took that message to heart. So a lot of this stuff that we have from him is before that. And that's what we really kind of know him by. But this deck, so this is why I think it's really hilarious, because I think he'd be kind of shocked that there's like a divination system based off of his artwork. Seeing that like towards the end of his life, he like converted to like this really, really hardcore brand of Catholicism. But yeah, look at how beautiful though these cards are. We have all of this gorgeous gold foil just covering everything. And y'all know how I feel about gold foil. She is luxury, right? This is one of those decks where every time I use it, people, they want to talk about the deck, which I don't mind. Like I use this in professional readings all the time. Because I am a Renaissance scholar, and that means that if I identify somebody, or if I identify a motif or if I identify a story, that usually is something that gives me information that I can bring into the reading. So one thing I highly recommend if you're somebody who's into reading tarot or you want to start reading tarot is look at decks that connect to your interests, because these are ways that spirit can give you or bring or like channel through psychic information by going into your database of knowledge and saying, what does this person know a lot about? Very often, so like I have decks that are like movie decks because I worked at a movie theater for like 14 years and I know a lot about movies. So when I read like from my last unicorn deck or from my Mean Girls deck, like those readings often really sing because there are layers of knowledge that I can glean from the iconography. And the same thing here, because I've studied this, like the cultural, I guess, the culture that Botticelli was working within, and I know a lot about the art theory that he was working within, I can really get a lot more out of a reading sometimes. It can really, really sing. So I do not find this a difficult deck to read, even though obviously I have my lovely book that I use with tarot cards because there are so many layers of meaning. I always like to check a reference before I start going into my intuitive channel. Like, look at that chariot. How beautiful is that? Very, very, very harmonic. Very, 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 like, sexy symmetry. Like, super, super, super Botticelli. But yeah, reading with this deck is just a joy because of how beautiful it is. Botticelli had this very beautiful, like, softness, this sweetness with his artwork that made him so distinctive. This was a period where a lot of art was going from looking very much the same to really being able to see an artist's signature. And Botticelli's signature is definitely here. That softness, that sweetness, you know, the beautiful handling of those tempera colors. Even though these colors were very ubiquitous, he just handled them in this really, again, a very soft, very sweet, very gentle kind of a way. His face is so beautiful, right? Look at these cute little tricksy little fawn here. They're so cute. They're so expressive. But they have that sweetness still. Those little puffy cheeks. Look at the arms, how they're so like, not like flabby, but like fleshy. You know, they're not too stiff. They're not too muscly, but you're still getting some kind of like anatomic rigor happening. Like that's Botticelli, just this beautiful, soft anatomy. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous deck. But yeah, the foil, the patterns, there's so much that makes this deck yummy, 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 that my clients, when I read from this deck, they just want to talk about the deck. So this deck is a buy, and it's, if I recall, this deck, I think Los Scarabeo has it priced between like 25, 35, depending on if you're at US dollars or euro or whatever you're doing. But I think I paid around 25 for this at Namaste Books in New York City. So yeah, this one I'm pretty sure is widely available. I think if you're in DC, I think I've seen this at the Crystal Fox. So this is, she's not hard to find, and she's just so beautiful. Great. So let's go ahead and give her a little shuffle-roo before I start giving you guys a free lecture on Simonetta Vespucci, who was the model that he was always using. Although there are some people who think that she had arthritis because she had the same crooked finger, and my grandmother had that same finger, and I don't know if it's an Italian thing. Anyway, let's give the deck a shuffle-roo, and I'm going to say, what does the collective need to know today for its highest good? Oh, we got some flippers here. Wow, that is 4. All right. So here's what we have. The first thing that I have is the Knight of Wands, the Cavaliere di Bastone, right? And then the Ten of Swords, Dieci Spade. Oof. And then I have a reversal of, what is this? The Knight of Pentacles, Cavaliere di Denari. And I have an Eight of Swords. I want to check on this Eight of Swords. I'm getting a word, but I want to make sure that this is like, I just want to make sure. Hold on, stay with me for just a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. This is why I probably have a lot more oracle decks than tarot decks. Yeah, that's 10. I know 10. Yeah, got it. Okay. So I want to start here with our Knight of Wands. This is a very, very fast card. So the different suits of tarot give us an idea of like speed and how something can happen. And our swords and our wands are our fastest cards. And you can even see that like the horse's hooves are off the ground. Like he's going fast. The wind is whipping his cloak. So there's this thing about like speed that I'm getting. And also the wand is our suit of creativity. It's our suit of passion. And it's the suit of fire, right? So we have fire, which is our motivational body. And it's like, we want to go somewhere. There's something that we want to do. There's someone we want to be. There's something we want to pursue, right? And we want to do it with this fire energy, right? But I'm also getting swords. So the Ten of Swords can be a rather quick and a rather painful ending. One thing that can be tricky about endings is that they can be painful. We don't know what's coming next. Something is ending, but not yet quite. The next thing hasn't quite begun, and there's a space there. And I like to call that space the void. And it can be very difficult. You see how she's like, this is like the Magdalene mourning at the feet of Christ after he's deposed from the cross, right? It's like, this is the same person. Oh my God. And I had a message come through from Mary Magdalene that I recorded that like, I'm going to be, okay, so maybe this is like connected. So let me tell you, let's go into, let's follow this thread. Let's follow this thread. The Magdalene is often seen in Renaissance paintings at the foot of Christ after he's been deposed from the cross when everybody's mourning over the body, right? She's also the first person that he sees when he is resurrected, the first person that that witnesses him, right? So for those of you who are like, oh, this is getting too religious, like, here's what we have. We have something and we're like, this is very, very painful. But then it rises again in its most aligned power, in its most like deep expression of its blueprint, right? Follow me here, right? So if you're wanting to pursue something, but maybe some space has been cleared away for you, meaning that things have fallen out of your life, or a version of you that has to die in order for that to happen, take that time. Even though she knew who she was, she knows her power, and she knows who she is, and she knows her power. She still allowed herself to experience this moment and be in this moment because it was appropriate. She needed, like, she's still in a body. We're still in the third dimension, and our body is going to need us to mourn that version of ourselves that needed to die in order for the new version to be born and to come back, right? So we have another knight here. This knight is in a reversal. This knight is like, this is our knight of coins. So this is like the earth, domestic spheres, finances. Maybe if you're like thinking about like a career or going into a new career, it's like this energy is blocked. First of all, we were talking about fast knights. This is a slower knight. Look at his horse. No wind whipping up a cloak, no wind whipping up the hair. Just this beautiful, graceful motion of the horse's tail as they're kind of sauntering along. So maybe you need to accept that the timeline that you want might not be the timeline that is the best for your nervous system. I know a few people who are dealing with that right now. The timeline that you're on, that you want to be on, where it's like, bam, bam, I'm the Knight of Wands. I want to go somewhere. I want to be someone. I want to do this thing. I want to live in this place. I want to do this for a living. I want people, I want to have this kind of a public role and image, right? And you're going for it, going for it, going for it. That takes a lot of energy, and it is necessary for parts of your ego identity to die in order to clear space for the new, more perfect version of you to rise up in all of its power, in a greater, more precise expression of its intended blueprint, right? Your soul has given you information, you're following it, but parts need to fall away, and you need to respect that. That's the part that's going to happen quickly. We have our swords here. Understand that the process of where you want to be is unfolding. So be there now. Root yourself in the earth. Be there now, right? Allow yourself to allow your body to catch up to what your spirit wants, right? Don't burn yourself out. Take care of yourself. So just like maybe slow the pace a tiny bit and let yourself stop and smell the roses. Feeling like things are going too slow might drive you crazy. That's where I think we have this Eight of Swords here. Eight of Swords is like self-imposed suffering, right? Eight of Swords means you are perceiving yourself as suffering. But that might not mean that you actually are. Like if I look at this image, there is nothing visible yoking this person to the tree. Maybe they're tied behind their hands, but we don't know that. What I can tell you is that there's no one around forcing them. There's no one around traumatizing them. And there's just all of this blockage, right? How these, you see how they're in between these two trees, and the trees are like visually blocking our access to the figure, right? And we have all these swords in the ground, right? If you feel like you are stuck, understand that that perspective could be a self-imposed prison. Not that there aren't outside factors, right? I am not victim blaming, victim shaming. This is not what this is. But what this is asking you to genuinely, authentically look for the ways in which you have abundance rather than scarcity. What do you have? What is available to you versus what isn't available to you? If you have to clear space by, like, say, for instance, I'm still getting job. So like, say, for instance, you got laid off of work and that was not your fault and you loved what you did and you don't know what's coming next. And maybe that's scaring you, and maybe you're focused on scarcity and lack. And I don't know what's going to happen. Instead of, you have one foot in who you were rather than putting both feet in who you are now and what that creates for your becoming. Right? Stepping off of the log here and choosing a path to walk down. Right? If, for instance, you are taking a hiatus because what you're doing was really stressing you out, and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do next, I'm so stressed out. Shift your perspective from, oh my God, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I taking such a gamble when I don't know what's coming next? Instead, breathe. Understand that your nervous system needs you to regulate yourself and allow the path to unfold, right? Just amble down. We can reverse this and just amble down the path and see what happens, see what's good, see what lights you up, right? So many times we're on the path and we don't know that we're on the path because we don't like what it looks like or it didn't look like what we expected it to. And that creates fear which limits our perception of what is available or what is possible or what could happen. All of the wonderful things that could now be available once this thing ended. There were 3 days in that space, right? If we're gonna go with this story before us, right? There were 3 days in that space between that ending and that new rise, that beginning in all of the full power, in that clearer expression of the blueprint. Something had to happen in those 3 days. Rest, recovery. Every caterpillar turns to goo and then becomes a butterfly. I feel like this is a theme we've been talking about. So if you're there, if you're in this Ten of Swords moment, if you're in that moment where you're mourning the person that you were and you're not quite sure yet who you're going to become, or you don't have the proof or the evidence in front of you that things are going to play out the way your soul told you that they would if you were to take this risky move, or to align your will to something that your ego didn't want to do, but your spirit was telling you was the right thing, right? Allow that 3 days, allow that space of time, allow that void to work its magic. Give yourself that time. Slow the horse down just a little teeny tiny bit, right? And okay, I'm just going to say this for, like, maybe, I don't know who's watching who knew this person, but I knew a very beautiful person named Mitch. And when he died, he sent me horses. And he shows me horses a lot. And so if you're somebody who knew him, he wants you to know it's safe to slow the horse down. He's like, I want you to get on that horse and ride, bitch. But it is also safe to go at a pace that you can handle. So I hope that wasn't traumatic for anybody, but that was just the message that came through, and I'm not going to judge it with love. Anyway, what I mean to say here is that if you are in this position, let that rest, that space of time between beginning and end, work its magic on your body. Follow the breadcrumbs, because maybe for some people, they can just go to sleep and rise back up. For some people, they could just make the choice and then boom, that was what the universe needed in order for them to shoot off, and they were all ready for it. But sometimes, and a lot of times, things happen on a little bit of a more spacious timeline, when what our brains want, what our ego identity wants, is for that switch to happen quickly. You are being invited to take a nice, spacious breath, look around you, loose the things that are limiting you, and walk the hell out of this situation that you think you're feeling stuck in. Because that feeling of stuckness is only a perception. But that change of perception must be genuine. It has to come from a real place. And that might be why your timeline is a little bit slower. That might be why your void space is taking a little more time, rather than just the sudden shoot, right? I hope this was helpful. If this reading activated anything for you, and you have any further questions, please send me a DM or find me on Instagram as Lady Lantern. I'm happy to book a reading with you to uncover more. All of my greatest and best love. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful, beautiful deck as much as I enjoyed sharing her with you. Thank you so, so, so much. I love you. I love you. I love you. Grazie. Mwah, mwah, mwah. See you next week. Bye.